The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And we are here again
Yes, we are.
to Philosophy Chat.
Yay.
And this is episode 48.
Yes.
What is the topic?
This is the conscious mind of pets, or animals, sorry.
Nice. So
Yes.
it's kind of like a follow-up to what we did last week a little bit.
Yes,
Touching
exactly. It's like last week we talked about the human side of things, and this week we're going to talk about animals. And we talked about subconscious, but for us, I think talking about the conscious side of things would make more sense with animals. So,
Cool.
yes.
Awesome.
I'm
Well,
excited.
yes, me too. Because I know this is a good specialty of yours.
Oh, yes.
Before we do that, you got anything from last week?
I do. I have an email that we received last night, actually.
Cool.
This is from Megan. Megan said, "Hi, Samantha and Danny. I have to say that this last episode about the subconscious mind is my favorite episode so far, and I have listened to them all. I related to you, Samantha, on almost everything you said. I'm 27 years old, and I feel like I have wasted my time worrying about things I have no control over. I take everything personally and am beyond sensitive. I had a pretty good childhood, but I make very poor relationship choices. I'm way too focused on my personal appearance, and that gets in the way of my ability to relax when I am with a man. I did a lot of thinking after listening to this episode, and I see where I need to fix things now. It was like a slap across the face, and I can't thank you guys enough. Your podcast is such a blessing to me."
Wow. Thank you, Megan.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
nice.
That's, it's hard for me sometimes to like share my personal stories.
Right.
But I realize that kind of comes with the territory, because if we were to sit here and just talk about what we read and not have personal experience about the things we're talking about, how would that be relatable to people?
Sure.
And then how do you fix things if you can't really relate on it because, you don't have somebody to relate to?
Well, communication is the key, first of all.
Yes.
I think to anything, as we can communicate on the other side and intuitively no problem, but when we come into this world, we have to learn how to communicate in physical bodies.
Yes.
And that's hard to do
It
sometimes
is.
when you have emotions.
Yeah.
So that's the key, first of all.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you're going to be a lot better off, because whether it's communicating your feelings or how you feel inside,
Right.
or any of that, even just that kind of thing where she's saying to herself and then to others,
Right.
hey, I need to change some things. That's not easy to do for any of us.
It's not at all.
It's not.
Yep.
But you can let certain things control your life, or you can choose not to.
That's exactly right.
So-
Yep. And it's great that she's even noticed that with like the physical side of things, because, they don't teach us women that we're all different. It's like we're all taught to look a certain way, that all men want, the tall, skinny, blonde. And so that's what
Yeah,
most
whatever.
women, right. That's what most women want to achieve. But the thing is that you can't change things about yourself. This is who you are. You're unique. So stop trying to change yourself and just accept yourself for who you are, and you'll be much happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's and like you said, what we're speaking from is just our own personal experience.
Yeah.
We have our own issues about our own
Sure.
perception of ourselves, Everybody does.
Yep.
But if we could learn to start sharing with one another instead of keeping some of these things maybe hidden from one another,
Yeah.
we could learn from one another.
Well, and here's a question, is that people want to change the outside of themselves so much, but why don't they want to change the inside of themselves? Because really that's what's beautiful. Like the perception of whatever I might look like to somebody, that's their perception
Right.
of me, not, it has nothing to do with what maybe I'm really like, or
I think there might be this weird sort of like subliminal feeling or subconscious feeling that maybe you think that if you change your outward appearance, your inward appearance is going to change because, oh my God, now I weigh 90 pounds and I can fit in a 2-piece bikini and
Right.
I feel wonderful about myself. But wait a minute, the 15 years prior of maybe things you went through don't vanish just because you lost 100 pounds.
That's exactly right.
So we still have personal things that, like I'm saying, if we could learn to talk to each other about those openly without ridicule and people trying to embarrass people, but just souls talking to souls.
Exactly.
Of like, how do I get through this life
Right.
with this feeling?
Because we all I can't say everybody has the same feelings because we don't, but we really do relate. There's a lot of things that, like, as I've gotten older, I've realized that there's so many things that I do that I thought were unique to me that aren't.
Right.
Even like the weird little idiosyncrasies that we think are just ours.
Yeah.
But you don't know these things unless you communicate with somebody else and say, hey, this is, how I feel. And then somebody else to go, whoa, really?
Yeah, you may have had like a similar lesson that you learned, but a different experience or journey to get to that lesson.
Exactly. Or
so
like
sharing that with each other, it's like, wow, I didn't think about it like from that way, or so I don't know.
That's why your experiences help others too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, Megan. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, thank you, Megan. That was wonderful.
Cool. So all right. Well,
Yay.
episode 48 then, the conscious mind of animals.
Yay, animals.
Animals.
Yeah. I always love these. So first, I want to give you a couple facts about things because this isn't just going to be about pets. This is going to be about all animals, wild animals, some domestic animals maybe we haven't talked about before.
Cool.
So when I was doing a little bit of research on things, one of the interesting facts that I found is that there is 1,305,250 species of animals.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez, besides us.
Right?
It's wild.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I thought that was a big number. 62,000 of those have backbones. So that's...
So that encompasses every living animal, not like a tree, bush. We're just talking anything that breathes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anything that has a conscious. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Most animals are sentient, meaning that they can think and perceive their environment, and they can experience things like suffering and pleasure. They're also conscious beings, so that they're aware of the environment of what's going on around them. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of the same senses that we have. It's just that they process things differently. Mm-hmm. So today we're going to answer questions that we received on the page and through email that relate to these types of things, relate to how animals think.
Cool.
All these questions are kind of based on that.
Right on.
So the first question was, do animals understand everything that we say? And they don't. They honestly don't understand a majority of what we say.
Right.
So let me compare it for you as a child to an animal, okay? So like let's say you have a 2-year-old child and a 2-year-old dog, okay? They're probably a little bit on the same mentality.
Yeah.
As kids and dogs grow up, they start to learn more words. You talk to them and they pick up words. So you tell your dog over and over, sit, sit. They finally learn what that means. It's the same thing with children. The difference is that they can't speak back to us. So they do pick up on a lot of our stuff. They just can't talk back to us.
Right.
They understand things that others don't understand in the way that they do pick up on us telepathically. Not all the time, though. I don't really know how to explain this, but it's like opening a door. It's like sometimes you open that telepathic door that your animals can hear what you're talking about in your mind. That makes sense. It's not always open. Mm-hmm. When you're upset, when your tone is like really bad, it's not open.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so that's one of the worst things that you can do. Like if you have a dog that's maybe gotten into the trash or something and you're going off about it, they don't really know what you're going off about because they don't know that that's wrong. They've never been taught that. Eventually they might associate one with the other, but they don't think like that.
Right. I'm sure like after they've done it a couple times and somebody's screaming at them, they probably go, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Ultimately, no. All the words, they don't get it.
They don't. They don't. If we sit there, because I'll do it, sometimes one of our dogs will do something and I'll start talking just, English to them. Like they know what I'm talking about. Like
Right.
you don't even know what I'm talking about.
But I think there are, like you said, certain words that they get used to. Like, we try not to say it when they're around. COOKIE, because they're around.
Exactly.
Because if you say it, they jump up and,
Yes.
then we got to hit pause and it's just a whole thing.
Yeah. It just, yeah. So they do on certain things understand, but not everything, and actually not most of it.
Right.
Really, honestly. Yeah. Let's see. Do birds just mimic, or do they actually understand? This, again, is not an all or nothing type of situation. There are some birds that just mimic and have no idea what they're rambling about. But there are birds that do actually know what they're saying. I have one that I groom that every time that I go to groom her, when I go to put her in the towel, she says, "It's okay." So she's asking me, it's okay. It's going to be okay.
That's awesome.
Right? Birds are very highly intelligent creatures, and they can learn a lot, not just the words, but what the association is.
Yeah. I know, like African greys have 400 or 500 word vocabulary.
Oh, I'm sure it's more than that.
And I think they do comprehend quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, birds are amazing. And I mean, you really can build a strong bond in a relationship with a bird and communicate with them, because they do. They can ask for what they want.
Right.
Yeah,
my Uncle Bob had that Amazon that was...
with the potty mouth.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was a sailor. He was in the Navy, but yeah, he had a sailor's mouth. And I think one time I walked up and said, "Hi, Pearl," and she told me to F off.
Aren't they great?
Oh,
I just
awesome.
love them. I love them. I had talked last week about the African gray that I helped find a home for. But the last visit that I had with this bird, the second to last visit, I went over to the cage and I was, kind of talking to him, explaining to him that he was going to be going to his new home, right? And he says, "It's okay." Just like that. "It's fine. It's okay." Right. And so he knows what I'm talking about. And he says that in his dad's voice. Right. So then as I'm getting ready to leave and I'm in my head telling him, "I'm going to see you," because I helped to move him to his new home. So I'm going to see you in a couple of days, but I'm leaving now. And I didn't even have to say that out loud. And he said, "Okay, bye." And he said it in the wife's voice, the one that had passed away.
Wow.
So that was yeah, especially because I was just talking to the bird about what was going to happen and how his mommy set this up for him, because I really feel like she set that up
right
from the other side to help me to help them.
Yeah.
So they do. They understand more than we know.
That was her bird, I take it.
That was her bird, yeah. So
Cool.
now he's got a new home. Okay, so let's see. On to the next question. Do animals feel our pain and understand what is happening at the time we're going through something? They don't understand, but they feel it.
Yeah.
If we're sad, they feel that from us. If we're angry, they feel that from us. They're very empathetic creatures. Really, they're the most empathetic creatures.
Yeah, I mean,
animals,
I think
way
that
more
they're
empathetic
smart
than
enough
animals
to-
than people.
I think they're smart enough to figure out, let's say, for an example, there's a household and a family member passes away suddenly.
Yeah.
And everyone's mourning in the home, and they realize this person isn't coming back.
Right.
I think they can figure that out.
Right.
That, oh, okay, that's what the sadness.
Right.
And they're intuitively connected anyways.
Yes.
So they might very well be connected with that person that passed already.
Absolutely.
And understand what's happening there. But
Yep.
do they understand all that pain? Like every little thing that you come home, you got your feelings hurt at work and you're crying. They don't know.
Yeah, they don't understand what you're crying about. They
No.
just know that the person that they love is crying and they want to console.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a reading for a lady the other day who had some damage in her home. I'm not really sure what, but so the insurance company had to move them out while the repairs are done. And so their dog had to go with them. And in the reading, she asked for me to connect to the dog and let her know that everything was going to be fine, that they were going to move back into the house, and that when she left to take the kids to school, for the dog not to destroy anything and not to get into trouble, because the anxiety level was really bad. Mm-hmm. So when I tuned into this dog, what I was getting really is that the dog isn't upset with the move. The dog will go wherever you want. what the dog's upset about is the way that the human is acting. That the dog's human is anxious. They can feel that anxiety. And every time that she leaves the house, she's afraid that the dog's gonna like have horrible anxiety. Well, she's giving that feeling off and starting to create that anxiety. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So really, they feel us so much. They just don't understand what it is. And that's kind of where my job comes in, is that I'm able to explain to them what it is. Here's what's going on.
Right.
Here's why, like for this dog, you're living in a new place. Here's why your owner's anxious, and why she's, doing the things that she's doing, and get everybody to relax.
Right.
And that really helps.
Yeah, it does.
I do it with our own animals.
It's important.
Yeah. How long do animals retain memories? Well, this again is very particular to the animal itself. But I think that it's, again, if you look at it like us, like as a kid, how much of your childhood do you really remember?
Right.
They remember things, but most things go into their subconscious and aren't really brought up until, maybe they have a similar experience, or if there's something that's repeat that goes into their subconscious, then it becomes a part of how they act. Just like that, like what I said, you teach them how to sit, they learn the word, but they also learn the action.
Right.
So that goes along.
I mean, even for us, it's very similar to us. I mean, everything, thought and feeling that we have goes into our subconscious.
Right.
We can access that at different moments, different times, kind of like, sort of like you said, when the door opens, you can learn how to exercise that door and open it yourself,
right?
Or you can do other methods. But it's similar in the sense that, like you said, not just my childhood, but like, how much do I really remember of day to day 5 years ago?
Not much.
Or a year ago. It's like, there are
Exactly.
pinnacle things that you remember that happened, but, and I think maybe that's somewhat of the importance that our society puts on things like proms and graduations and, engagements and weddings and, funerals, unfortunately, and things like that.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that this kind of makes me think of as far as the retaining memories is that, like, have you ever accidentally, like, kicked the dog, or like Sabbath's black and he blends in, and so sometimes I'll be walking and I won't see him there, and I'll kick him, and I'm like, oh my baby, I'm so sorry.
I've sat on him in the black leather couch.
Yeah.
And blended
It's
right in.
really, so I always feel bad for that. And then, like, even later, like a month later, I'll be like, oh, remember that time you kicked Sabbath in the face? He doesn't remember it, but I do. I'm the one that's carrying it around.
Right.
So that's just an example of, like, those types of things that may happen, that if they just happen once, chances are they don't remember them.
No.
Now, if you're kicking your dog on an everyday basis, that they're going to remember.
Yeah.
That's different. Let's see. Do all animals feel pain? And this is a good question, because they don't, but most animals do. So let's talk like insects, okay? So insects and fish, actually, they do not have the neurocapacity for conscious awareness, so they don't feel pain. And if they do feel it, like, we can't really understand this because we're not really
them, right?
or scientists or whatever,
Right.
but it doesn't, things have to move from one part of the brain to the other. And when you don't have those two pieces, or they don't work together,
Right.
then it doesn't happen the way it happens for us. It's not an emotional response. It might be a physical response. Kind of like how there's certain animals that can play dead. That's an emotional response. They're protecting themselves.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But let's see, on here it also says, so this was an example that I gave to you, and you thought that this was a great example, is that things like crustaceans and snails, they can't process pain. They don't feel pain at all.
Right.
So like lobster and crab and shrimp and all those, they don't process that. So you asked me, well, then how come they scream when you put them into water? Well, that's a myth.
Right.
That's not what's happening. What's
That's
happening?
air being released.
Well, yeah, the water's getting in the shell and it's releasing.
Right.
So that's not them screaming. They don't feel it at all.
Right.
At all.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to grasp.
Yeah.
And like same things with like bug sprays and stuff for the bugs that it's killing. It doesn't hurt them. Like they don't feel that.
Right.
It just, I mean, maybe they do, but it doesn't process, so it's not the same.
Right.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. You know what I forgot?
What?
That I'm going to do readings on this show. So I'm going to do one now.
Good.
Yeah. I almost forgot about that.
I was going to ask you, when are you going to do that?
No, I'm glad that I remembered. And yes,
got time,
definitely.
though.
Yes.
You don't have to stop what you were doing necessarily.
No, it's good. We were done with that
okay.
question, so
Cool.
we'll just go on to this. So
go for it.
Let's see. I really wanted to hit this one. This is from Jessica. She says, "This is my baby Saskaya, I think is how you say it. Saskia. She was so in tune with me. She saved my life and gave my granddad a reason to keep going. Granddad fell ill and went into a home, and I couldn't stay in the house because it was a council property. She went to stay with a distant cousin, and now they don't let me know how she is. My granddad's dying, wondering if she was okay, and it broke his heart. Is she angry with us? Does she miss us? Does she understand what happened? Please tell her I love her so much. I cry myself to sleep sometimes because I miss her so much." That's heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
So let's talk to your pup here. I do feel like she's good. I don't feel like she lives with the cousin, the distant cousin. And I feel like that's why they don't let you know how she's doing, because they don't know. I feel like they found another home for her. But this was better. This was a better situation. I feel like she's very happy there. It's a family. At least one kid. I see another one. Maybe that means there's another one on the way down the road. But she's a very happy dog. So please know that. And I think that okay, so your granddad did pass. So
I was going to say, I have a feeling like he somehow intervened once he passed to make sure that dog had a good home.
Has a good, and a good life. She definitely does. So, and he knows that now where he is, so you don't need to worry about that. But do know that she loves you and she understands the situation, and that there's definitely no hard feelings. This dog is in your soul family and will remain there.
And you'll see her again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. She's pretty. She's like a shepherd type dog. Gorgeous. So
nice.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What do animals think about all day? So again, this is broad.
I've asked this one before, yeah.
What?
I've asked this and pondered this myself.
Well, let's talk first about wild animals, because they're very different.
Right.
Wild animals, a lot of them, their sole purpose is to procreate. So what do? They go out all day and they hunt for food for their families. And this is why, like when you, like a bird, for example, when you put a bird in a cage with a bowl and they have nothing to do, that they go crazy. Because birds, they forage all day.
Yeah.
They go out looking for food for their babies, and that's their job. Bring up their families. It's the complete cycle.
Yeah.
So many of those types of animals. Now, when you have a domestic animal, like a dog or a cat or something else, what do they think about all day? It really depends on the species and the breed. Our two dogs here are very, very different. So, like, we have Zuma, the Great Dane. Mm-hmm. Zuma's chill. He likes to play, but when he's chill, he's chill. He can lay on his ottoman, and he loves to watch dog TV.
Yeah, he does.
And he's totally content with that. Sabbath, on the other hand, our black lab, is a working dog, but he doesn't want to work, but he does. He doesn't want to, like, do dog things. He doesn't know what he wants.
Dog.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he wants. But he knows that he doesn't want to sit around and be ignored. Like, Zuma's just like, fine, go on with your day. Right. So it's what those two think about all day is very different. Sabbath, I think, is thinking, how do I, engage play so that, I have something to do, or what do I do with myself next? Right. He likes to lay by the door. We have a security door in the front, and we'll leave it open so that he can watch outside. And he likes to sit there and he guards. That's his job. So he lays.
Barks.
Oh yeah, and he barks. So he'll like have a little nap, and then somebody will walk by and he'll do his job. Yeah. And that's what he's thinking about, The other night when I got these questions and I was putting this together, we were sitting with the dogs, and I tuned into Zuma to see what he was thinking. And I asked him, what are you thinking about? And he said, going outside. And I was like, please don't. And he did. Yeah, he did. He had been sitting there for the longest time. I was like, that's weird that he said that, because he's been here. He looks content. And then he looked at us and he was like, bye. I walked outside and started barking. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
It's like he goes out to see if anybody's awake and wants to talk.
Yeah, they like to talk to the neighbor dogs.
Yeah.
But, it was so funny how it was like he wasn't thinking that for a long term. That was just his thought then, So I think they don't think like ahead like we do. They're just thinking about what's happening right now. They're not thinking about,
Right.
an hour down the line. Now you need to do this,
Right.
Which actually brings up another good question, and that's, can animals tell time? Because they don't tell time like we do.
No.
Like they don't know how long we're gone for example. Like they know their routine. So Zuma, our Great Dane, he usually sleeps from like noonish till like 4:30, and then he's rip raring to go.
Yeah.
So he knows that that's his time to sleep. He goes by how he feels, what the sun's doing, which is why they're thrown off a lot of times by, daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Because they go by what they know. It's a routine.
Or the weather too.
Yeah, definitely.
Which we finally have rain today.
We did have rain today, yeah, and
Yay.
it makes them tired too.
Yeah.
But yeah, they if you're gone for like, let's say you go to work all day, right, and they're used to that, then it's not like they're sitting there counting down the hours. Now, if you normally home at a certain time, like, and they feel like it's dinner time because they can sense these things, then they might start to get anxious if you're not home. And that may be why, if you get home and your dog's anxious, maybe it's because you're off, you're a little late and they didn't know where you were.
Right.
Last night we went out at an awkward time for Marina's birthday, and we were gone a little bit longer than normal. And when we came home, Zuma was ready to go because we weren't here for his normal playtime.
Yeah.
He was like, "What happened?" Huh.
Yep.
He's so cute. Let's see. What's the next question? Oh, I like this question. Why do pets run away? Pets don't run away.
No.
They don't run away. Okay, so let's say that your gardener leaves the gate open and your dog's like, whoa, what's going on out there? I've never seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
And they just start running and sniffing, and then all of a sudden they don't know how to get home.
Right. It's just a whole new world. They're not going, ooh, I hate where I'm at.
Right.
I would even imagine probably the most abused dog wouldn't even really run away because that's home. That's what they know.
That's right. Actually, next door is a good example because we think we've talked about these dogs. There's two beautiful Husky Shepherd mixes next door. Mm-hmm. And occasionally they will get out and run around. Well, the girl actually doesn't leave. She stays there.
Yeah.
He leaves. And so the other day, like, I saw him running down the street, and you have no idea how many times I've gone and brought this dog home or done something to get him home, right?
Yeah.
But the other day I was like, good for you, Shadow. Good for you. Go.
Get out there and explore.
Get out of that horrible home. What does he do? He goes back there.
Yeah.
He lives outside and has fed old Roy.
Yeah.
So if anybody could run away, it would be him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they could, if they get not far enough away, they might be able to trace the scent back home and be able to get back. But some do get. I remember my parents, they had a Sheltie, a little miniature like Sheltie that got out. And she died, unfortunately, but we lived in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah.
She was found in Agoura.
Oh, wow. So that's like half hour.
Yeah, I mean,
minutes.
that's a long trot for a dog.
Yeah, it is. She was found dead or alive?
No, she wasn't alive.
Oh,
yeah,
poor thing. Yeah. There's animals that they can really travel far. It's impressive how far they can get. That's for sure. Yeah. But, it's like, so we have two cats, and our cats, they learned, how to use the doggy door. So they go in and out. Well, they don't go anywhere that we know outside of this area because that's what they're used to. They know where they are. But if they would have not known that, if they wouldn't have learned slowly where they live, and then one of us would have accidentally left them out, like opened the door and let them outside, that's when animals disappear because they don't know where they are. They have no idea.
Right.
And so, they're not running away. They're getting lost.
Right.
Essentially,
that's exactly what's happening.
Maybe there's some dogs that run away that should, but for the most part, like you said, it's like they know this is the life they've lived. It's not like a human that knows any better.
Yeah, and to them, I think their focus is different. It's about the homestead a place.
Yes.
And
Yeah, there was one time that I think it was our gardeners left the gate open, and I went outside, and both Zuma and Sabbath were sitting on the inside staring at it. Like, they knew it was wrong. They're like, no, we're not going that way. Just close the gate.
That's good.
Yeah. That they just know this is home, but it happens. Dogs get out.
It does, unfortunately.
Yep. Let's see. What else do I have? Why don't pets feel anger towards abusers? You know what? I think to answer this question, I have to explain how animals think on a different level. Animals don't feel anger.
Mm-mm.
At this, so the next question, I'm going to throw this one out here too, because it kind of all goes together. Why are pit bulls so aggressive? So, animals in general are, if they have some kind of aggression, it's not anger, it's fear. They react off of two emotions, love and fear.
Yeah.
So when you have like a wild animal that you're trying to approach and it runs from you, it's because it's afraid of you. If you have a wild animal that comes charging at you, it's because it's afraid of you. It's not because it is angry at you for something that you did. So animals that are abused have different responses, and I think it's very much like people.
Yeah.
Some animals that are abused, they cower and they're submissive.
Yeah.
And then there are others that will attack because they're defending themselves. It just very much depends on the dog itself.
They're not that far off from, other than their brain size and their mental capacity, like the reasoning and the logic. They have a lot of the same emotion, and we do the same thing. We hide our fear with anger, or our pain with anger, so it's a defense mechanism.
It's exactly
and it's
what
a
it
natural part of this world.
Yep.
So is it being bred into these animals to be fighters, and that's possible?
Yes, with the pit bulls. So here's something that many people don't understand. First of all, pit bulls are one of the most common breeds of animals in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at statistics for pit bull bites compared to maybe something like a Great Dane that's not really common, those numbers are going to be much, much higher for the pit bulls, which is why we hear about them more, because there's so many of them. Now look at another breed, Chihuahuas. I am way more terrified of Chihuahuas than I am of pit bulls. Can you imagine if Chihuahuas were the size of pit bulls?
No, that'd be bad.
That would be bad. I take care of a lot of what's considered to be in the pit bull family. And I have run across a couple of situations that have made me uncomfortable. And I will walk out of those. But for the most part, they're not aggressive by nature. It's something that can be bred into them if they came from, a bad breeder or something like that.
Right.
But for the most part, they're not bad dogs.
No.
And really, Chihuahuas aren't either. They're just misunderstood because they're so small and they don't really, but for, they're not going to hurt you. Well, I say that now. Chihuahuas are, I don't know.
Any dog can be trained to do what you want it to do.
Absolutely. To be sweet or to, be aggressive or whatever. If you train a dog to be your guard dog, it's going to be your guard dog and maybe be aggressive.
Yeah.
It's just what you do with it. So, I with the pit bull situation, I go back and forth on it. I'm like, I don't want one, and I don't, I don't know. I trust them, but I don't. Does that make sense? It's like, I feel like you have to, with that breed, just go with each individual dog. And there's other breeds that are like that too, like Chows and Akitas.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely have that. For whatever reason, they're Asian dogs. I'm not sure if it was the breeding over there or what, but they do have some of that. I have noticed that they do tend to fear react much more than other breeds.
Yeah.
Which is really, like I said, that's what it is a fear reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a couple of good questions I liked. Let's do another reading, shall we?
Do it.
Yeah. Let's see who else we got here that we can help. Let's see. This is from Lisa. She says, "This is Thomasina. He was rescued from the streets July 2019 and came to live with me in September. Is there anything he would like me to know to make him happier? Please let him know that I love him and he will always be safe with me. Thank you. So let's talk to this kitty. Thomasina. So I don't feel like Thomasina came from a bad situation. I feel like he was on the streets for a little while, maybe a couple of months, but I feel like before that he actually had a family that loved him very much and still to this day doesn't know what happened to him. That's sad. I have a lot of people that I do readings for that have animals that have gone missing, and they are found, like you said, with that dog, 100 miles away or whatever, and they don't know how to find the owner, and then this is what happens.
But at least it's like a happy ending.
Yes, exactly. So Thomasina, I feel, is very happy with you. I don't feel like he dwells much at all on the time that he was out on the street. It was only, like I said, a few months, I feel. And so he didn't really take a lot of that with him. Like when I tried to tune into him about it, he's like, it's okay. Wasn't that bad.
Wow.
Yeah. Animals they're like that. I don't know, they look at things differently than us, obviously, but he's very content. He's happy. I do feel like that was a strenuous time on his body. And so it aged him physically. So now he's much more relaxed than he was before. And he really just kind of likes to sit around. As far as things that you can do to make him happier, he likes to be brushed is what he's showing me. He's showing me a brush down his back. Oh. So I think he likes to be brushed more. He's also showing me licking his fur and getting hairballs. So that's probably why he would like to be brushed more. He probably has a problem with hairballs. So
he may be probably a longer-haired cat.
He is, yeah. He's a long-haired orange kitty. Let's see what else he wants to show me. He's showing me that he likes to chase mice and other creatures, but I have to explain to him that he really can't be going outside and getting lost again.
So maybe that's how he got out.
Yeah, probably. So maybe what I would say, I feel like he already does this, like sits in the windows and stuff, but maybe give him some extra windows to look out or something, because he does like to watch those things. But I explained to him that it's really not safe for him.
Yeah.
Don't want him to get lost again and have to go through that all over again.
Right.
So that's Thomasina, and I hope that answers your questions for him.
Cool.
Very happy kitty.
Yeah, he looks like it.
Yeah, he's cute. Okay, let's do a couple more questions. And then I'd still like to do a couple more readings if I can.
Yeah.
I think we can.
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
Great. Okay. This was a good one. I like this question. What is their vision really like? Because a lot of people say that dogs can't see like TV and stuff, but we can guarantee you that they watch TV.
Yeah,
like
he
they
does
can.
for sure.
Our Great Dane, he loves to watch animals on TV. He knows what he's looking at when it comes to the animals. Their colors are a little bit different though. Like for cats, it's like being colorblind, kind of. Like everything's just different. Like obviously the cat doesn't know green from red or yellow from blue, but to associate like what a human would feel like, that's what it's like. That a little bit colorblind. With dogs, it's more like the reds and the purples and stuff, which I find interesting because on dog TV they do a lot of reds and purples.
Yeah, at first I think I might have asked you that. I'm like, are they trying to sort of reenact what a dog sees, or are they just trying to make it interesting for the dog to look at?
Right. Yeah, I don't really get the concept. Maybe, you would think that they would know.
There's a lot of different filters and things that they use. It's not always the same, but...
No, they do a lot of really interesting things on this. Zuma watches the most TV in the house. Like, seriously, it's on all day for him. He loves it. But they do different things. And one of the things that I think we forget about is that dogs are so much closer to the ground that they see everything so much differently than we do.
Yeah.
So one of the things they do on this show is they show you from the dog's vantage point.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can sit there and watch it. Sometimes
I get lost
in it.
You do.
They
do some trippy stuff. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And it's entertaining, though. And
It's
we don't
very
even listen with
entertaining.
the sound on. It's just visually.
Yeah, because the sound kind of
It's
like
irritating.
it is very irritating.
I
It doesn't go with the pictures of what they're showing.
No,
But it's an interesting concept,
it really is.
but as far as like, I want to talk about this for a minute. I know that we talked in one of the episodes about animals in the zoos, but animals in the zoos, like as far as what they watch, because we were talking about like vision and what they do all day, they love to watch us.
Yeah.
Like I know that there's always been that running joke of like, well, maybe the animals in the zoos watch us as much as we watch them. Oh, they do. They love it because just like we get to see all the different animals in the zoos, they get to see the different people in the zoos.
Yeah.
So it really is like, I know people, they don't like zoos now, especially nowadays. It's like, they put them in there with the circus and stuff, but I don't like that. Like, I know that there's some zoos that are bad, but for the most part, like a lot of these places are really good conservation areas for these animals, and they do a lot for them.
But I mean, outside of that, what we're talking about is their conscious mind, what they're thinking. And I think you're correct that if you catch them when, a lot of them nap and stuff, at different times you may not see them, but if you see them awake, they're very much checking you out. I think usually the monkeys and the gorillas are probably ironically, because they're most like us, they're fascinating to watch and stare at.
Oh yeah. I've talked about this in a previous episode, but I went to sloth yoga last year where they put a sloth on a tree in front of us while we did yoga. But what was cool about it was that it was at this wildlife sanctuary. And so to my right was these little monkeys, like the capuchin monkeys. And I can't remember what was on the other side. And then directly in front of me was a giraffe. And I love giraffes. And he like came around and he comes over the fence with his, the face. He's watching us. And you can tell that they're like, what are these people doing?
Right.
Because especially like something like that, they don't do it that often. So, the monkey's sitting there going, what is this? This isn't what they normally do.
Right.
They were totally fascinated with it. It really, they do, even the wild animals, like most of the time the wild animals they're defending themselves.
Yeah.
So they don't really think the same way the ones in the zoos do because they get to sit around all day. They don't even have to really go after their own food.
Yeah, it's become a part of their norm.
Yeah. But the wild animals will still watch you too.
Yeah.
They're curious. They're interested.
Sure. Hopefully if they're big enough, they're watching from far away.
Yeah. So, yeah, right. So my point on the zoos was these are actually some of these places, if it's a good reputable zoo, don't turn away from it because, going to those places, you can learn a lot and you are entertaining them. As weird as that may seem, you are.
Santa Barbara Zoo, I love it.
And, it's you have to think, too, that these people that are workers in the zoo, they go through a lot of training. We have a program here at the community college called EDM, Exotic Animal Training and Management. And that's a hard course.
I've known a couple people have gone through it.
Yeah, I do too. I know a couple going through it right now, and it's a lot of work. So what I'm saying is these people work really hard to get to where they are to work with the animals in the zoos because they love them. Is there a bad person occasionally in a bunch? Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. And of course there's always politics, but people like myself that love animals, we work with animals so that we can make their lives better. It's not a real, like, you don't make a lot of money doing it. Yeah. It's not like being a zookeeper, no. You're going to get rich doing it. You do it because you love the animals.
And I think you might have said this, but a lot of the animals are like injured, can't be released in the wild. So
yeah,
you're kind of doing them a favor. You're keeping them around,
Yeah. Or sometimes they might be trying to save a species. They're breeding to save a species.
True.
That we're getting more and more animals that are becoming extinct.
Right.
So we have no choice but to do it that way or let them go extinct, which sucks because man's making them go extinct.
Yeah.
So we should be keeping them around.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's just one of those common sense things. If it's, a horrible zoo with, or it's like a orca in a small little tank, well, yeah, I probably wouldn't support that.
Right.
But, the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll do one more question and then another reading.
Cool.
Do animals get headaches? That was an interesting question.
Wow.
You know what? Again, it depends on the animal. because it depends on how their pain receptors interact with their brain. So for the most part, things like, I don't know, fish and reptiles and those types of things, no, they probably don't, because it doesn't interact like that. Dogs, cats, birds, yes, absolutely. Especially when they have something else going on, like a toothache, or if they have some kind of disease or cancer or whatever, they absolutely can get a headache. So you may have a day where one of your animals is just not feeling themselves.
Right.
It's not necessarily something you need to run to the vet for, because maybe it's just a headache. You know, Zuma, the Great Dane, I feel him a lot with his energy, and he does get sore, and he does have days where he's just tired and wants to be left alone. Yeah. And, you know, if I was a lot of people, I might rush him to the vet, but I don't, because he just wants to sleep, and he might go the whole day without eating. And it's okay. It's just how he is. So you kind of have to keep an eye on your animals and see what their norm is.
Their patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
And they change, but now once they're kind of full grown, they're set in their way, sort of.
But animals don't have a way to tell you that they have a headache. No. So, you know, what are they supposed to do? The only thing they can do is, you know, the same thing we would do, which is probably sleep. Yeah. Let's see. Let's do another one. Well, this is good because we talked about Chihuahuas. This is from Jenny. This is Bella. My question is, why doesn't she eat or get along with other pets and children? I think she was abused, but she was with us since leaving the litter, and it's a little Chihuahua. So Chihuahuas in general are feisty. They are feisty because, like I said, they're small. They're one of the smallest breeds. Actually, they probably are the smallest breed. Mm-hmm. So they have to compete with this great big world and don't really have, you know, much ways to express it. Yeah. So a lot of times they do show it this way. As far as I'm going to come back to the eating, but let's talk about the getting along with pets and children first. This does come down to the fact that she is a Chihuahua, but also that this is just the type of dog that she is. She's nervous. And it's not anything, I can tell you for a fact that this isn't something that you did wrong. She wasn't abused. There wasn't anything like that. We have our Great Dane, same thing. He's just very nervous. It's in their breed.
Very nervous.
It's in their breed. And so, like, we don't even like to have kids in the house that, you know, he wouldn't hurt them, our Great Dane, but he so freaks out by it that he just runs outside and just doesn't want to be in the house, and he barks and he carries on. So
if anything, he just scares people,
right?
You know,
exactly,
because of his size, and a dog acting like that,
right?
At that size, it's scary a little bit.
Yeah. So her dog here, Bella, is kind of the same thing, except in smaller form. That she's just very nervous, and she doesn't know if she's gonna be okay, but also she doesn't like the hype. Like, when the kids get going, she doesn't like that. And she doesn't want other animals up in her business either. Like, she just kind of wants to be left alone. And it's not something that you did wrong. It's just her personality.
Yeah, it's her personality.
It is. You know, I can sit here and tell her to calm down and to, you know, trust, but I can't even tell my own Dane to trust. It's just something that comes with these breeds.
And with time. Mm-hmm. I take it she's still young.
I don't, I don't know that this is going to grow out. I think that it will subside a little bit, that she will just accept it more and won't react to it as much, but I think that she'll always be a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
As far as the food goes, I feel like there's a few things that are going on here. I feel like, first of all, the food is not the right texture for her. And what she's showing me is crunching on hard food. So I'm going to assume that it's hard for her to crunch on it. That either her teeth hurt, because she's showing me this like it takes her a long time to eat this. And it's a lot of work for her. Also, I feel like the food that she's eating to her doesn't have a lot of great flavor to it. So I'm not sure what it is you're feeding. These dogs in general do tend to be more picky about their food. But I do think there's a couple of things that you could do here to make this better. And that would be maybe to mix some small kibble with wet food and water and just let it sit. Also, a higher quality food or something that smells strong. Our Great Dane loves salmon. It's
Yeah.
horrible. It
Ugh.
smells so bad. We call it stinky salmon. But it gets him to eat because otherwise, like, he has to eat like 9 cups a day. He'll just let it sit there.
And he gets bored with the kibble.
Mm-hmm. So stinky food. They love stinky food. So throw some tuna or something on there, and and they're all different. You have to figure out what they like. It's just like with people. You can't just expect they're going to love whatever food you give them.
Right.
You have to learn
Exactly.
what they like. Yeah. So I hope that helps you, Jenny. And let's see, what time is it? I'm going to do one more of these because I'm out of questions.
Cool. Go for it.
And I love these.
You might have time for a couple more.
I might. Let's see. Okay. So this is from Mike and Melanie. And this is Rowdy and Rascal. And Rowdy and Rascal love each other, but they go at each other. Are they happy? Okay.
What are they?
They look like
For our listeners.
Australian shepherds.
Okay.
It looks like one's
Puppies?
much younger than the other.
Oh, okay.
I think. Don't you think so? It looks like the one. Yeah. I want to say this could be mother, daughter, something like that. A couple things happening here is that I'm not sure which one. Okay, Rowdy's on the left. Okay, so Rowdy looks to be the older one on the left. He is the alpha. So the other one, when trying to establish a pecking order in the house, he has to learn his place. So Rowdy is just putting Rascal in her place.
Okay.
It is a dominance thing, but it's not an aggression thing. This happens a lot. This happens.
They take it for that because of the size difference, I think, probably.
Yes. Maybe. Well, and any animal that comes into a new home, they do have to establish this pecking order because dogs are pack animals and there is always a pack leader. So usually the pack leader is the human or the humans. Like, we're really the pack leaders.
Right.
But there's still an alpha between these two.
Yeah.
When Zuma came into the house, we had Sequoia, and she was the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And then after she passed, Zuma and Sabbath had to establish who was the alpha.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think Sabbath lost. I think Zuma is the alpha in this house. And that makes Sabbath upset.
Yeah.
Because these two go at each other too, and they're not the best of friends.
No.
But your dogs here, they get along very well. I don't see anything here. I just think that this is normal, putting the other one in their place, teaching the pecking order, but nothing aggression, nothing, we don't like each other. No. They love each other. They're very happy together.
That's good.
Yeah. So, but I can see how people would think that. I mean, sometimes dogs play really rough.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and that can be frightening.
And Sab didn't have a chance once he grew full size. It's like that, sorry, bud.
Yeah, he's twice your size.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah. So they always establish that between them. So, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about when they get rough.
Yeah.
Let's see, one more.
Yep.
Okay, this is a little black kitty. This is Binks. He is always talking to me. I've never had such a vocal cat. Could you tell me what he's trying to tell me? And do spirits bother him? So, again, all animals are different, just like people. And some people are very talkative. And a lot of the times they do this not to try and tell us something in particular or, to bother us. It's just what they're doing. They're talking to us. They're interacting with us, or they might be trying to tell us something like I'm hungry, but there are some animals that are just way more vocal than others. And I don't feel like there's anything in particular that Binks is trying to tell you. I just feel that he is a vocal cat.
Yeah.
Sometimes this can be related to the ears, like if they don't hear very well. But when I ask him if he hears okay, I don't think that's the problem. But if there's people out there listening that do have animals that maybe are very vocal or have recently just like become vocal out of nowhere, it can be hearing. But checking in with this kitty, I don't feel like that's what's going on. I just feel that he's a vocal cat.
Right. I had a tortoiseshell kitty that stayed with my ex when we got separated, but she was very vocal.
Yeah.
And every time she came into the room, she sort of announced, like, like,
right. I'm
hi,
here.
I'm here.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
So we'd be like, oh, hey, Dina.
Yeah. Some of them are just like that. Some animals are talkative.
Yeah.
Huskies are a dog that, in general, are talkative, and we're surrounded by them.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody around us has huskies. And people don't realize that, and they get them, and it's not just like a barking thing. It's they want to talk to you.
Yeah, they're very talkative.
Mm-hmm. You come home, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's just how they are. So coming back to Binks, that's what's going on here. And then you also asked, do spirits bother him? And this is a good question, not just to answer for Cynthia, but in general. Spirits don't bother animals. They don't look at them the same way. I think sometimes they react when maybe they have a new spirit in their presence. But I really don't think that happens for the majority of people.
No.
Like, that happens here because I'm a medium. And sometimes Zuma will look around like, whoa, what's that?
I think it's part of their reality since day one.
Yeah, they
So
see differently and feel differently.
Yeah, they don't. It's part of this world
Yeah, exactly.
to them, so it's not a big shocker. It's like, oh, okay, there's something up there in the corner, and because he does do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking at?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, and like there was one time that Sabbath does this now all the time, but the first time that he did it, there was a fly, and I didn't see the fly. But what happened is it went into the air conditioning vent, the intake, and he was standing outside of that and like freaking out, totally freaking out. What's in there, So some people might take that as like there's something bad in there, but it was just a fly.
Yeah.
And he does that now every time he sees a fly. But some people may not relate those two things together.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lady that posted in my group the other day for a reading. Maybe you remember, it was some painter that she brought this painting home and put it on the table, and the cat started rolling around on the painting, and so she was wondering if her cat was picking up the energy of this deceased painter. And that wasn't it at all.
No.
The cat's actually, this was the normal cat behavior of, this is mine.
Yeah.
This is my painting now.
Right. Let me make it my smell.
Exactly. So I think sometimes we look a little bit too deep into these things.
Yeah.
Animals don't look at it the same way that we do. So they're not really frightened by it.
Right.
It's not something that, and there's like, as far as evil spirits go, there's no such thing. So there's not evil spirits that they're trying to ward off or warn us about. Because I do hear that one quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like with that story of the cat with the picture, the only thing I could think of, if there was any sort of, intuitive communication with the cat and the person in the picture, the only thing the person in the picture would say would be, that's me.
Right.
And then the cat might go, oh, cool.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm going to lay all over it now.
This is going to be mine.
Now.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no connection between that person
No.
and the cat for there to be any kind of dialogue.
No.
He might just say, that's me. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like saying that Beatles poster that I'm looking at has John Lennon sitting there, looking at me because I'm looking at it. I mean,
Right.
that's probably not what's happening. I'm
Right.
just like it. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know some people, they want to think that maybe these things are that exciting because the movies portray them to be like that, but it's really not. Spirits are like really subtle and, the way that
and they don't fear them.
Mm-mm.
They don't possess them. They don't do any of that.
Not at all. Nothing like that. There were a couple of questions that came in that were about, when animals pass as far as reincarnation goes. Mm-hmm. And we did do an episode recently about, it was called The Rainbow Bridge. I can't remember the number, but the Rainbow Bridge talks only about animals crossing over and a reincarnation. And so that would be a good episode to refer back to.
Yeah.
This one, for me, I wanted to focus on live animals and talk about what they think and how they feel so that they can live better lives. Maybe if people can understand what's actually going on inside their animals' brains,
right?
They can change a little bit of how they react and treat their animals or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's it for this episode.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very good. That was cool.
I love to do these readings. I could just sit here and do it.
I could listen to you, and I feel like I'm not participating, but I like listening to him.
And I feel bad because I sit here and I'm like, I hope he's not bored because he's not participating.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good job.
Thank you.
And thanks for everybody whoever participated.
Yes.
All of our emails and friends.
Yes. And definitely with these readings that I did, please give me your feedback so that I can talk about them on the next episode. And I'm going to keep this post that I did. I did this post in my group. Facebook is no longer like we used to do polls for.
Yeah, they won't let you.
They don't have polls anymore. So I can't do those. And I know a lot of people, like I've even experienced this with one of our listeners. They don't want to post on our page because it's public and people that don't believe see that. And I actually had one girl that I did a reading for right there on our podcast page, and her dad saw it and came in and ripped me apart. And, you know, it was like, I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me what he said. You know, he said something about, you think you could talk to corpses or whatever. But I felt worse for her that she had to be embarrassed and, you know, those things and had to come to me. And she was the one that told me it happened. So that's why now I've kind of put them up in the reading group, where I'm asking for these questions in the reading group.
Got it.
Because I feel like that's private. And one day I will start a group just for our listeners. I just feel like I want to get our listener fan base a little bit more
established. Or maybe Facebook will wake up and bring the polls back.
Well, it's not just that. Yeah, the polls were an easy way because they didn't really alert other people. Like you couldn't see what other people were voting. And so people felt comfortable. Exactly. But having to, comment there, it makes people vulnerable that don't want to be vulnerable because not everybody's understanding. It's sad. It's a sad world we live in.
It is sometimes.
Yeah.
Well.
But anyways, so that's up in the group, and I'm going to refer back to that and continue to take those readings so that hopefully I can get all of those on that post done.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that's
awesome. Well, do you want to share your pages or information before we say goodbye to everyone?
Let's do that.
Cool.
You can find everything you need to know on my website, SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. The group that I'm talking about on Facebook, it is called Free Pet Psychic Medium Astrology and Tarot Readings. There we go. So, and you can see, because you got to stand apart from the others. So, you can see that I'm an admin there, and I think our banner says something along the lines of, "We're not humans living a spiritual experience; we're spirits living a human experience."
Love that.
So that's my group. Cool. If you see that on Facebook,
So cool. Yeah, beautiful. And for me, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can check my art out at djonesartcollection.com. or at djonesartcollection for Facebook and Instagram, and the band gypsybrown.com, and also on Instagram Gypsy Brown Music at Gypsy Brown Music, and then Facebook Gypsy Brown at Gypsy Brown Band. Show coming up April 10th, and you'll be hearing me say it until it happens. So April 10th, 10 p.m. North Hollywood Universal Bar and Grill. And there's other people playing, too. We play at 10, so I think there's probably 2 or 3 acts before us and maybe a couple after. So
I had a little spirit tell me, be there or be square. So if anybody relates to that, that's for you. Because that's not something I say. So, all of a sudden I was like, where'd that come from?
Cool.
So that's the message for somebody.
Thank you to whoever shared that from the other side. Because please tell your friends, bring a friend.
Yep.
Share it on Facebook. Come down. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great time, and we're looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it.
So that's it for me.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you, babe. Great job.
Thank you.
We hope you guys have a great week. Stay healthy out there.
Yes, please. Crazy world now.
Keep it clean. Stay healthy.
Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.
And until next week.
Peace and love.